All right, are you all receiving it sharp? Should be okay, right? All right, very good evening to everyone here and all our English-speaking family and friends here. Meeting is being
Recording in
recorded.
progress.
Started. Okay. All right, tonight's, or someone's, can we mute the rest of the speakers, please?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, tonight's talk, I think some of you actually attended the previous one, except that the last one that I shared with, there weren't any guests. So it's very special. We are very honored. It's not just me. You look at this first e-card, I have got actually two guests with me tonight. Okay, our VVIPs with us tonight. Why VVIPs? Because they've been there, they've done it, right? They actually prove to us that, this is what you can achieve over time. Just put a little bit of effort, with the aid of our 18672 products, you can actually do it. And it's so simple to do it. So what I'm going to try to go through tonight is to share with you all the information. A very quick disclaimer, whatever's being shared, whatever's being told to you tonight, it's basically as far as to the best of my ability is based on scientific fact, and based on what doctors and nutritionists would actually recommend. However, you should not take what we share, what we provide you with, as an information to override what your doctor or personal physician tell you to. Okay, do not stop taking your medication from tomorrow onwards because you suddenly after tonight you feel that you have got so much confidence in following what we are doing, in doing 18672, and then you can stop your medication totally tomorrow. So don't do that, and that's for your own safety. Okay, so very quickly, what exactly, for everyone here, if you can just type into the chat later on, just show us actually what you think your objectives are. What is or are your main objectives practicing 18672? Okay, you're looking here. So one, is it to lose weight? I think some of you, basically that is one of your major, your prime objective for tonight. Some people do you simply just want to be healthier? You don't care about how is that, okay? And you want to look better, obviously. You look at our two guests later on, I'm going to share with you all some of their photographs, and some of them are actually taken very, very recently. And I'm talking about this last, 2 days or even some today. And they really look very good. So you probably want to lose weight, you want to be healthier, you want to look better, you want to feel better about yourself. Most people, sometimes some of us don't feel so good, looking at ourselves in front of a mirror, standing over a mirror. And who else here simply wants something at all of the above? I think most of you want, 1, 2, 3, Li Fong, got you. Okay, so who is not number 5 here? I'd probably be surprised. Okay, but this is exactly what we aim for when we think about, getting healthier, thinking about losing weight, especially if you're a bit, on the heavy side. If you know that your BMI is above, 25, you know that during your last checkup, your personal doctor is advising that, sir or madam, you should be losing some weight. It'll help you. If you, for example, have got friends, have got family who are pre-diabetics or diabetics, right? You want to take care of it. So we want to always, move from one particular figure to the other. So something that actually looks good, on ourselves. And over time, this can be achieved, and actually can be achieved quite easily. It does take discipline, but not something that's so straitjacket that you feel that you're not able to work, you're not able to function anymore. So regardless of your body type, okay, we've got different family members here within our friends and family in here that we're sharing with tonight. I mean, you have got different shapes, is okay, and as long as you're healthy, actually. In fact, all these figures here, regardless of whether it's the figure on the left or the figure on the right, they're actually still within the margins of so-called healthy because their waist is still narrower, than their hips. Okay, that's another benchmark that some people look at. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and we hope that, or I personally hope that, along with two of my guests tonight, that you all will be able to take away with you after tonight's session, sharing session, the following points. One is that understand that what you eat defines you, right? I am really what I eat. You are really what you eat. Okay, this is exactly what defines us. So hopefully you're not totally dependent on therapeutics, that means on medicine, for the rest of your life. Some of us may have got chronic, medical conditions where a doctor has pronounced us that we have to take this medication, be it cholesterol or high blood pressure or whatever, for the rest of our life, or insulin injections for the rest of life because we are a confirmed diabetic, all right? It may not have to be that way. So understand, after tonight, you should be able to understand, I will be able to impart upon this, imprint this idea in your mind and very deeply that you are what you eat. I'm going to prove it to you. What happens when we eat? Okay, this is just some background information to share with you so that you understand, what's happening in our body when we eat, whenever we eat. So if you're going to eat, just 3 meals a day, that's fine. Some people actually eat 8 meals a day, 10 meals a day, 12 meals a day because they're taking a lot of little snacks and breaks in between. So what happens then? How often should we eat really? So frequency, okay, again, I'm going to impress upon you that frequency of your meals is actually as important. It's very important on how you actually condition your health, right? Of course, this is something that's come out, that's become very popular. Of course, this is a research from the 90s, but in 2016, a professor was awarded the Nobel Prize, right, for confirming the discovery of autophagy. I'm going to talk about that. It means self-eating, okay, what it does to our body, how it will help us, how it will actually perhaps even slow down our aging. This is very important. Last but not least, of course, tonight's subject is on 18672 light fasting, right? So we're going to touch on all the benefits of light fasting or any form of fasting that you may practice. Okay, so let's get underway. So you are what you eat. Believe that, okay? Remember that you are what you eat. You like to take a screenshot, make this your wallpaper on your phone quickly. Do a screenshot right now. Stick it on your phone so that every day this reminds you that, we have to be careful of what we eat. It doesn't have to be very strict. You understand how this is. Whatever we eat may affect us, affect our body condition, affect our health, affect us for the rest of your life. But you can still change it. You can still change it. So look at all the lovely food, especially right now. You go to a shopping center, you go to a supermarket, something that you want to purchase off the shelf. Beautiful, very colorful. In fact, some of them taste really good. Some of us like certain flavors. We're preferential. We like this, we like that brand, and so on and so forth. And not understanding that, if we're not careful, we're actually eating a lot of chemicals. We're eating a lot of additional additives, agents that's added to the food. Those agents may not be doing us any good as we continue. Okay, so let's prove it. How do we prove it? Very easily. In front of you, I've got a list of diseases that are known as diseases that only afflicts the modern civilization. Why do I mean that? Okay, this means that people in the early 20th century, this is the 1900s, 20th century, they found that in certain countries, especially like the Africa continent and all that, the original natives do not have any of these diseases that I've listed here. Coronary artery disease, you don't have, those people, those days, you don't have blocked arteries, capillaries, they have got no stroke, no heart attack, okay, no obesity. Everyone is lean, is slim, is very fit. Unheard of, diabetes. Colorectal cancer, unheard of, they probably can detox their large intestine every day, regularly. No such thing as breast cancer, unheard of. Obviously, no tooth decay, okay? One of the most major reasons that they don't take sugar. There's no sugar in a diet, so there's no tooth decay. You cannot be a dentist. Don't set up shop in Africa. In those early days, today you can. Constipation, again, plenty of fiber, whatever they eat, right? It just get digested, they are fit, they are healthy, it just pass out of the system. Sleep apnea, people who actually sleeps and snores or even stop breathing because they have so much fats, right, around their throat and all that they actually stop breathing. Some of them actually do die in their sleep because of sleep apnea or even asthma, okay? Upper respiratory problems, no such thing. Then this is only until after 1930 they found that. all these diseases start afflicting even the African natives. Why? Because they started following what the white men were eating. Okay, what the white men, their lifestyle, their food, the way they prepare their food suddenly looks very interesting. Okay, so they started. I say we can also try that. You know, we've been eating our basically animals, our wild games that we hunt every day. We can only plant certain wheat and all that. But now let's follow, okay? Because it really looks interesting, and the way the white men eat it, the food stuff looks so delicious. So they followed. The moment they started following, all these afflictions start happening one after another. So these are modern civilization diseases, okay? Let's prove it, huh? Early native nations, this is the North America usually, we call the Red Indians, right? The native Indians. Malignant diseases, things like cancer, tumor, don't exist at all, okay? Because if it exists, it must be extremely rare because they did not encounter. The scientists, the doctors, the researchers look for them, did not encounter a single case. There may be some case, but they have not found any. 2, not one pronounced instance of advanced arterial sclerosis. Again, no blockages, no nothing. This is a 1908 study, right? Look at the other one is the Eskimos, the Inuit. These are the people living around the Arctic Circle up to this very day, for that matter. They find that cancer does not occur among the Eskimos. Does not occur. Okay, why? I guess because their diet is very rich in omega-3, obviously, right? Seafood, whatever they hunt. A lot of omega-3 cuts down on inflammation of the cells. Cancer does not, tumor does not develop. Throughout a whole 24 years, it's 24 years of study, they only encountered one single case of diabetes. One. Look at the Maasai. This is again the African. They are mostly pastoralists, which means that they go for milks of animals, maybe goats, cows, and they are nomadic. So nomadic, they move from grassland to grassland. They have got no time to just plant and wait, 3 months or 6 months to harvest. They just move on. Probably every 3 months, 90 days, they move to another grassland. You just drive their herd of sheep, and lambs and goats and so on and so forth. So their diet is mostly milk, meat, blood, no vegetables at all. Okay? Surprising thing, they have got no high blood pressure, they have got no obesity. They're all very slim, very fit, very muscular, all lean. Okay, the other thing that also surprises a lot of nutritionists today, for example, this is somewhere near us, PNG, Papua New Guinea. That is just to the east of Indonesian chain of islands. 94.6% of the energy intake comes from carbo. Okay, today you hear it, carbo is almost like a bad word. Cut carbo. Okay, because the carbo eating has been processed. That's a problem. But look at them. 94.6% of energy intake comes from carbo, and yet they are fit, lean, muscular, with no sign of protein deficiency. Okay, they do not lack protein. You say, hey, they are not eating meat. They're mostly carbo. How come they do not lack? They don't, because there are also protein in the carbo in the crops that they grow. Okay, for example, your tapioca, your sweet potato, your potatoes, etc. There are, but what we are eating today, from shops. Unfortunately, I'm going to explain to you why they are not there. Okinawans, if you've been touring, okay, this probably would be one of the most recommended tours. Go to the southern island, Japanese island of Okinawa, and then they always bring you to some village. Right? Inside all the villages, there's plenty. There are plenty of villages that are over 100 years old. They're all centurions. Okay, it's not something from the 20th century. It's now, right? In 2021, you go to villages in Okinawa, there are many of them that actually are above 100 years old. And again, their diet is 85% carbo. Okay, but look at their BMI. Their BMI is a really fantastic 20.4. Okay, you just focus, and these are the 18 to 65, which means that anyone that should be between 18.5 to 24.9 for people between the ages of 18 to 65. And there are 20.4. Okay. Again, they basically eat all the carbos that they plant themselves. Okay, probably no special chemicals, no insecticides, no fertilizers, so on and so forth. Okay, so the conclusion that scientists made is very clear, is that regardless of your diet, whether you're 95% carbo or 95% protein, okay, you can still be healthy, conditional on it's not being refined, it's not processed food, there's no flour, there's no sugar, and you'll be fine, okay? The problem is that today, what we are eating processed food. We're modern, okay? We're modern human. We live in modern cities with factories, with food factories that does a lot of processing. And what do? They remove all the protein from the carbo, okay, content, with the excuse that they're helping you speed up your digestion. They remove all the fiber. What you end up with, colorectal cancer, okay? You actually get constipation easily. They remove all the fat. They say, fat's not good. Yeah, remove it. So you're only left with just simply, let's say, carbo and starch, and guess what? Sugar. Okay, so as in so far, this is 1960 book that's published and peer-reviewed by a lot of other doctors and scientists. It's called the saccharine disease, and a name for sugar. Okay, it's because of sugar, amount of sugar that modern humans start to take, and after you process it, that's what you left off. So you are really what you eat. Okay, after that, have I proven my case? Not yet. We could continue. What happens when we eat? Okay, this is the next thing that you're going to learn tonight. When we eat, or when you eat, what happens is your blood sugar rises. Okay, your blood sugar rises. No matter what you take, a little bite of a chocolate, or simply just a cup of cocoa, a beverage, or if you take, of course, a can of Coca-Cola or some sweet drinks, anything you eat, or just a bite, okay, a bite size of a piece of bread, or a piece of cake, or a donut, your blood sugar rises. Okay, the moment your blood sugar rises, what happens is that your pancreas will start to eject from the beta cells, produce insulin. Okay, why insulin? Because when your blood sugars appears high in your bloodstream, your body detects it and it pumps up insulin. Insulin is the only hormone in the human body that can control blood sugar level. Okay, and what does insulin do? Insulin is actually a key. Okay, it's a key that unlocks every one of our cells. Okay, all the key cells, our body cell. We're made of cells. We're made of what? 3.7 trillion cells, 37 trillion cells throughout our body. So it unlocks the cells to absorb the glucose, blood sugar, thus bringing down the blood sugar level in your bloodstream. Okay, so it goes down again. So until the next time again when you eat. So the next time you eat again, blood sugars rises in your bloodstream, is detected, insulin is being pumped up again. Guess what happens that if you eat all day? So you have your breakfast at 7:38 a.m. and you don't pop in the office, so you probably work from home, right? So at 10 a.m. you'll be having your tea break. Okay? Back when we actually go to the office every day, we also be having our tea break. Okay, we take a tea break at 10:30 a.m. Shortly after that, it'll be lunchtime. Okay, we're going to take our lunch. Blood sugar rises, insulin comes up. After your lunch, guess what? You do some work, answer some email, answer some calls, make some phone calls. At 3 p.m. again, your colleague come to your table. Hey, let's go for a quick drink, coffee, all right, or tea, or teh C, or whatever it may be. All right, blood sugar rises. 3 p.m. you take your tea or high tea. A lot of Thais, if they are at home, they'll be meeting each other, going shopping, going to Takashimaya, and then going, for their high tea. The high tea will last all the way, let's say, from 2:30 until 5. After 5, they go home. By the time 6 p.m., 6:30, it's dinner time. Okay, so take that. After dinner, how long they'll take their dinner time, at 8 p.m., they can take a dessert. Okay, it's after dinner dessert or after dinner drink. And guess what? After that, probably the hubby comes back home and bought supper. So at 11 p.m., they'll still be having supper before they go to sleep. So how many times I've been in the crowd? And then what happens is that insulin is being powered up throughout the whole day. Okay, throughout the entire day, you probably only have a rest, hardly, only during the sleeping hours, 6 hours or 8 hours or so and so forth. So what happens is this, then you end up with a medical condition. Back in the early days, the originally detected medical condition is called diabetes type 1. Okay? It is the picture depicted on the left. You look at this young girl at that time. She's basically skin and bones, right? Because her body is unable, okay? She's born with a particular defect in the pancreas. She's unable to produce insulin. So she is actually the cell, because without this key, the cell cannot unlock, cannot absorb glucose. So nutrients cannot come in. She's actually starving to death. She is trying to eat, Okay, obviously her parents and the doctors is feeding her every day. Maybe have to go to extent of IV if she cannot actually bite anymore. She's just about a couple of days or at most a week away from death if there's no intervention. And then subsequently, luckily, is at that around that time, 1922 and so on and so forth, they discovered insulin, or at least external, man-made insulin, actually from ox pancreas. They actually extracted it from ox, from cows, and purified it and injected it into human beings. With the insulin injection, the cells is unlocked through insulin. That same girl, within a couple of weeks, became picture B. Okay, that's diabetes type B, which meant that diabetes at that time, that problem was a problem of cell starvation. That means without insulin, you're deficient. There's a deficiency of insulin. Your cell cannot be unlocked. The door doesn't open to accept glucose into the cell. So there's no nutrients. The cell simply starved to death. That's cell starvation. But guess what? Today, modern men, us, most of the friend and families around us, looks like this. Does this, and then they are suffering from diabetes. They are confirmed, long-term diabetic, and doctors say they have pronounced that you have to be having injections and taking medication, maybe something like a metformin or something, for the rest of your life. Does this look like the body of someone whose cell is starving to death? No, right? This is actually the reverse. It's known as insulin resistant. This person's body is pancreas is still able to produce insulin, but then the body has become resistant to insulin. You're pumping. The fellow said, sorry, the cell, no matter how wide the door you unlock, but my cell is full, I cannot absorb anything. So this is actually known as diabetes type 2. Okay, today the insulin problem we're dealing with is not lack of the production of insulin, but overdose of insulin. Okay, so what happens? It looks like that. You've been to Japan, been to Tokyo, and then you look every morning during peak hours. I guess right now during the pandemic, the people working from home, you have this issue. Their railway system actually employs the railway officers to actually push people just to the brim into the carriages. The carriages basically are your cells. Those people, officers that push them in are the insulin. Those passengers that are still waiting outside, queuing up to go in the train, these are your glucose. There's a cellular overflow. There's a glucose overflow. Too much glucose, no matter how hard you push, how much insulin you pump out throughout the day, right? Your cells are full, they are full. And guess what happens? If they are full, they'll be just converted to fats and left outside to be stored. So guess what? That rings and rings of, you find that you're getting a big belly. Those are the extra fats. Those are the extra glucose that were converted, all right, synthesized, transformed into fats that cannot be absorbed and burned up as energy by the cell. Okay, it's left there layers upon layers. So it almost end up like that. For a person with an insulin-resistant body, you always end up with layers and layers of fats inside your body. Unfortunately, some of them are very dangerous. It's called visceral fat. Okay, so for someone that's of the same skeletal and muscular structure that perhaps should only weigh nominally about 120 pounds, okay, this is what? This is our regular about less than 50 kilos. There's another 130 pounds of simply fats. These fats were basically the original glucose and starch that were not converted to be used and expanded off as energy. So your body knows how to store reserve. That means put whatever you eat, you have a current account, right? So you actually takes in $1,000. Okay, you only spend about $500. It keeps that $500 in deposit. And guess what? You're just topping up. You're never withdrawing, right? If this was your life salary, it would be wonderful. But if this fat, you're in trouble because it just grows layers and layers and layers. And the most dangerous are the visceral fat. These are the fats that actually coat and wrap around your vital organs. Okay, so you can get very sick very quickly. Okay, so how can you tell that you're insulin resistant? A lot of us, careful, you just look at some of this. For example, sometimes you get a lot of headaches. Okay, may not be migraine, may not be, whatever, headaches. And fatigue, you always feel tired, especially after a meal. Okay, a lot of people, really love to take, some of us, they call it a power nap. If it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes is great, you can sleep after lunch. You just feel drowsy. You cannot work, right? Your mind is not starting up again. You just feel very sleepy. You can't think. You're always hungry, okay? You have got rapid weight gain. Very dangerous. Suddenly you just put on a lot of weight, okay? Hormonal imbalances. You may not know this one. Your physician will probably tell you, but you can always sense it. Something's not right. Okay. If you do a blood test, you'll find that the cholesterol is very high. Triglycerides are very high. These are fats. These are the indication that now your bloodstream is full of a lot of bad cholesterol. Okay. Obviously, trouble losing weight because you're gaining weight rapidly. You always crave for sugars. Okay. This is one. Look at some our ladies also. Apnea, atherosclerosis, liver inflammation. All right. Abdominal obesity. That's a telltale sign, like I said just now, right? It's not a joke. If your waist is larger, okay, the diameter or circumference is bigger than your hip down, you're not healthy. We have to cut it down to be less than 1. The ratio must be less than 1. Okay? Cardiac hyperthropy, risk of thrombosis. Okay, this is like things like DBT. You go on a long haul flight. Okay, Singapore direct flight from Singapore SQ flight to New York, for example. Some people, if you have got DBT, deep vein thrombosis, DVT, you may die because there will be a blood clot that actually form on your thigh because if you're not been walking around up and down the aisle of the airplane, right, it gets stuck there. It just move up to your brain, and then your brain simply starves of oxygen. It dies. You may just get a stroke and just go to sleep and die on the plane, right? So problems like that, all this has to do with insulin resistance, okay? And once you get insulin resistance, over time, you end up with a condition that's known as beta cell exhaustion. Now, in our pancreas, the pancreas is just behind the liver. In our pancreas, that's where basically insulin is produced, but it's produced by the type of cells known as the beta cells. Okay, you see the B there, the beta cells. If you keep eating, if your blood sugar keep rising throughout the day, right? The pancreas, the beta cells cannot rest. It have to produce insulin non-stop. It will come until the point whereby it just simply exhausted and gives up, right? And it's not eventually progress to diabetes because it cannot secrete enough insulin. You see, unfortunately, this is a paradox. You are telling me you're eating, blood sugar is going up, right? You pump up, but your cells are already full. So no matter how much insulin you pump up, you're not able, you can unlock the cell, but the cell, they are full. There's no way they're going to absorb any more glucose. So if they cannot absorb glucose, your blood sugar level will not drop. Okay? So it's a chicken and egg problem. It's continuous. It's what we call a catch 22. So you just go on and forth, blood sugar never comes down, insulin keeps ejecting, and until your beta cells get exhausted, it gives up, not producing. And then doctor said, oh, because I think you have got this problem, your blood sugar is high, you can't control it, we have to give you insulin injection. Guess what? More insulin pumped into your body, right? And again, that vicious cycle. No matter how much insulin you inject into your body, if you're already insulin resistant, it will not help. Your blood sugar will never go down. So what's the only way to do that? How can you help that? Stop eating, okay? Stop eating. And especially stop feeding yourself stuff like sugar. So very quickly, you're young, I think most of us, let's say, where you're still below your 30s, until your 40s and all that, right? Around that mean age, you still find, your body, your metabolism is very good, a metabolic rate is high, you can actually burn it off, you can still go through this pain. But guess what? Within that 1 to 3 years, without you detecting it, you end up with all the okay? Hyperglycemia, hypertension, this is hypertension, right? Hypertriglyceride. That means all the bad cholesterol there, okay? You actually have got high blood sugar all the time. Hyperinsulinemia, too much insulin in your bloodstream, okay? And of course, a large waistline, right? Around the mean age of 40. Once you hit, your so-called middle age, when we get just a bit older, your 50s, your 60s, problem will start. So the next stage, 3 to 5, you'll develop something known as, it becomes more severe metabolic syndrome. This whole process, it comes like a free upsize for you. You go to a fast food center, you order just a burger and a drink. But the cashier will always try to sell you upsize. Okay, sir, you want to upsize this, upsize your fries, upsize your drink. right? I guess what? In this medical condition called metabolic syndrome, it's FOC. The upsides come automatically. You don't even have to ask for it. They're going to give you. You've got insulin resistant, you also get this free of charge, FOC. Next three to 5 years, you get fatty liver, you get diabetes, okay? But some people may remain pre-diabetic for 8-9 years. Then suddenly on the 10th year, they become full-blown diabetes, okay? But after that, the rest of the problems come because the moment you become close to being a diabetic, which is actually a condition called metabolic syndrome, which is derived from basically insulin resistance, right? You also get cerebral vascular problems, you get heart problems, all right? The Singapore study that I always share with a lot of people is always that Singaporeans, if you've been relatively healthy, you may experience your first cardiac episode, whether it's a stroke or a heart attack, around the age of 60. If you have been relatively healthy, you may experience your first time. Okay, you think, I've never taken MC in my life. I've been healthy and so on and so forth. But as being a Singaporean, chances are you may experience your first cardiac episode at around 60, which is 10 years earlier than our European and American counterparts. Okay, we thought that they're taking red meat, they're eating all the pastas and so on and so forth. Okay, all the heavy foods, fatty foods. And guess what? We Singaporeans are the one that may suffer a heart attack 10 years earlier than our European and American counterpart. So by the time you're late stage, so of course you also advance in age, you're 60, 70 years old, then you get kidney failure, right? You get liver cancer, you get all sorts of cell changes, and of course you age rapidly. You definitely look like someone beyond your actual age. Okay, this is your friends who have not seen you for 1-2 years, they can tell. So the top 10 in the 2019 causes, world top of death, are usually also linked to the endocrine system, because due to endocrine is basically the system that produces insulin and all that. So this is a very serious condition. Why do we now actually convince people that you have to do at least a light fasting? Okay, because we've been overfeeding ourselves and we've been eating around the clock. That is a problem. So think of something here. Type 1 diabetes, which is that young girl in the picture A, usually affects younger patients, suddenly onset, it becomes very thin. Okay, and slow, it's progressive over time until they die. They simply just starve to death. Okay, not that they are unwilling to eat. They can eat all they want, but the cells will not be able to absorb the nutrient. On the other hand, those of us with the pot bellies, which are already pronounced being a full-blown diabetic, right, usually are already more advanced in age. Gradual onset, sometimes so slow that it creeps up on you and you don't realize it. Okay, like say 3 to 5, you don't go for a regular checkup. You don't even go for a checkup once every 2 years or 3 years or 5 years for that matter. You may suddenly find out yourself the next time you check up, or because you just bought a new policy, your insurance company, right, dictate that you have to go for a medical checkup, and at that medical checkup you find that you have got diabetes, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, and even early stage of cancer. Okay, that may be the case. But having said that, actually right now scientists can tell you that type 2 diabetes, all right, may be reversible as long as your organs are already not damaged beyond repair. Okay, so how often should we eat? As rarely as possible. Cut down on your frequencies. Already that 3 meals a day, okay, it's ample. If you can cut it down less, and that's why we're going to teach you how to do fasting. You've heard of, probably in the past, intermediate fasting, alternate day fasting. We'll start you off easy and with a well-guided package called light fasting, okay? Look at this modern eating pattern. I actually get a whole group or study group. Each time they actually eat or take a break or take a bite, take a cake, take a snack, or in between meals, they actually click on that thing. They found that a lot of people in that study group ate from 6 a.m. all the way until midnight. Okay, non-stop eating throughout. Imagine you were in this particular group of people. What is happening throughout the day? Your beta cell is pumping out, insulin, until the point that you become insulin resistant, you develop metabolic syndrome, and pop, in no time at all, in 5 years, 6 years, you become a full-blown diabetes. Okay, you become diabetic. So the problem is that because insulin, there's too much insulin, throughout our body, is definitely unhealthy. Glucagon, okay? Now, once insulin comes out, it basically, those that's not burned up as energy, it converts to something called glycogen. And glycogen just stays in your blood until you stop eating, when you're supposed to be starving, almost feeling hungry, your system is hungry, glucagon will be emitted. This is another hormone that will then convert the glycogen back into glucose to be used for energy. But if you're already full, if your cells are totally full of glucose, there's no more, and they are all fats, right? There's no conversion. So you always be insulin, insulin, insulin. Glucagon is definitely not used at all, okay? And then you end up with simply just fat cells. Fat cells, fat cells, fat cells. All the fat cells in body combined. So now you question people, how come my waistline is so big, okay? And I'm putting on all the time, and my weight, my body weight is just simply rising over this last, especially during the pandemic era. A lot of people have been telling us that, they put on a lot of weight. I also congratulate all our family members here in Chawei. I know that they maintain their weight very well, okay? They maintain their weight very well. So we want the point whereby at least if you can cut down on your frequency of feeding, at least, before you even start, consider, because before you even learn, before tonight's session, some of you have never heard about fasting, unless you're our Muslim friends, right? You basically fast at least 1 month a year, right, prior to Puasa. So you do that, but the rest of us, some of them, if they, for no reason, nobody ever fasts. Maybe some of you have never ever fasted, your entire life up to this point, until after you hear tonight's sharing. Then you may do it. So you want to stop feeding yourself at certain times of the day, so that at least glucagon can come, can start, and your body will start to use other things. Will start to use your fats, right? I'm going to tell you. So now we just jump very quickly. What exactly is autophagy? Why is autophagy important? Okay, autophagy actually is derived from a Greek word from ancient Greece. It simply means self-eating. Okay, you're eating yourself. Look at this dragon. This is a Western dragon. This picture actually is produced by the Nobel committee. It's not just any artist drawing. You see here a dragon feeding on its own tail outwards. So autophagy simply means self-eating. But what does that mean? Why are we self-eating? So in 2016, this Professor Yoshinori Osumi, which is basically a professor of the Tokyo University of Technology, he has been studying baker's yeast. Okay, now our cell is more complex because we are a multicellular animal. Okay, our body comprises of 200 types of different kind of cells, but a baker's yeast is a single cell organism. One cell is the entire living being. Okay, so he's been studying it, and since the early 60s, already scientists were saying that inside each cell there seems to be a rubbish dump. Okay, it's almost like a garbage center. You got something that's waste, that's old, you throw away inside that room. So every single cell has got a garbage center. But until this professor came along, so for his theses and so on and so forth, his own research paper from the 90s, he started studying this baker's yeast, and he mutated. He actually created now we're talking about the COVID, but he actually mutated 1,500 different mutations of the baker's yeast, and he confirmed, because of course later days you've got electron microscope and all, you can actually observe what happens. Inside each cell is not just a garbage center, it's a whole recycling factory, recycling plant. And that recycling plant is a wonderful place whereby old parts, sick parts, damaged parts get taken up, broken down, get repaired. Whatever can be used can be cannibalized. The parts is left behind to produce new parts. Okay, so that particular cell, every single cell is actually able to cleanse itself, repair itself, and you so-called eat itself. But it will only start, this autophagy engine will only start when our cell starve, open and close inverted commas, which means when it's not feeding, which means when there's no insulin being ejected. The moment you eat, the moment your blood sugar rises, no matter how minuscule, okay, insulin is ejected from your pancreas produced by the beta cells, autophagy stops if it's been starting. Okay, autophagy only starts, the engine only starts, turn on when your cell start to stop, when it's not eating. Okay, so basically it's a standby mechanism. So you need autophagy for your body to renew itself, to repair itself. And guess what? Autophagy is also your last line of immunity defense. It can actually destroy. It knows that if it's been infected, there are bacteria, there are viruses, it will go after those and destroy that too. But guess what? If you've been feeding throughout the day, insulin is being pumped up, autophagy doesn't happen. The engine doesn't start. So there's no self-neural, there's no cleansing, there's no nothing, because, and there's no self-eating. Okay, you want autophagy to start, which means that you have to stop feeding yourself sometimes at least. So the best way is that, if you can actually so-called starve yourself, or at least not eat for a certain period of time. So during starvation, the cell self-eating will get rid of unnecessary organelles. Organelles are all the organisms that's getting dirty, and then use them for energy, including big proteins that otherwise cannot be destroyed, right? It just wraps them up, okay, and comes up like cocoon, pulls it into that recycling factory, and then destroys them, okay? In the process, actually, you're basically cleansing yourself, detoxifying yourself, renewing yourself, recycling bad parts. You want autophagy to be working at least every day. Unfortunately, for most people right now, nowadays, based on your modern lifestyle, your modern feeding habits, right, autophagy never come into place, or hardly. The moment it kicks in while you're sleeping for that, let's say 8 hours, a very good night's rest, the moment you wake up, you go for something, you reach for your coffee, sweetened coffee, you reach for your Milo or something, autophagy have to stop. It will stop right dead in the path, okay? So basically, you want autophagy to help you regenerate, cell, recycle cell, reuse it, which is very significant to human anti-aging. So where is that human's fountain of youth? Autophagy may provide one answer. So right now, one of the, after, of course, this is just a Nobel, prize winner in 2016. His research is for a couple of decades before that, quite a number of decades. And right now onwards, other scientists are also looking at how can we make use of autophagy, okay? Kickstart it so that it actually can slow down your aging process. It will. It has all the ability. Whatever you thought was incurable, diseases and all that, autophagy may actually have an answer to it. But guess what? Most of us never, or is never able to turn on autophagy because we never stop eating. We never stop eating. So what we want to do is that with light fasting that we're introducing to everyone, right, we want you to stop eating at least for, control yourself, feed it, cut down on all the sugars so that insulin is not always pumped up, and autophagy will happen, will start. And guess what? On and above that, just even if without autophagy on the side, your body can then, if you're not feeding it anymore all the time, right? New sugars, new starch, new carbo. Your body will then make use of your reserve. Burn your reserve to produce energy, okay? There are different methods our body can produce energy. Most people think that, fastest, the easiest, the quickest path is sugar intake. You want a sugar rush, you get, you feel full of energy. But if you do not have sugar, if you do not intake sugar, you don't eat anything sweet, you stop totally, you guess what happened? Your body will then make use of your fats that's been stored there, that's been converted, right? Whatever, whether it's a visceral fat or those fats, around layers and layers of fats around your waist, they can make use of that to burn the fats and convert to energy. In fact, with that energy, you feel that you still get full of energy and you don't feel drowsy, right? There's no insulin, there's no metabolic syndrome that accompanies the burning of fats to produce energy. Then the other thing rarely is, of course, amino acids, protein. So our body can use 1, sugar to produce energy, 2, fats, 3, amino acids, protein. All right? One of the most effective, you can get it, control yourself, not feed while you're not feeding yourself sugar intake, stop that. Then your body will start burning your fat. So your big fat cells will now slim down and those fats will just get flushed out, converted to energy. And you find that you feel so refreshed because a lot of people, you find that if you burn fats, especially if they are good fats, right? unsaturated fatty acids like omega-3, 6, 9, and so on and so forth. Those energies produced from there are some of the best. Okay, why do we get a sugar rush so fast? Is that you take something, hey, within 15 minutes I feel our energy come back. It's your body ways of telling you that sugar is bad, so I have to destroy, get rid of it fast. It's actually toxic to our body. So the way our body produces energy is that if you're giving it same portions of fats and sugar, it will destroy the sugar first, use the sugar first. Okay, so hopefully what we want to do is this. What we want to do is this with fasting, or with at least light fasting. You don't have to go hardcore fasting. We know you probably have heard of friends or family members that goes for what, 16-8 or 18-6 or alternate day. They eat for one day, they don't eat, they rest, they don't eat, they fast for another day, then on the third day they eat. Or some of them, they basically fast throughout the entire weekend. Okay? From Friday to Sunday night, I do not eat. I fast these 3 days. I will start only eating from Monday to Thursday. There are people that go, you do not have to be hard. There's no need to be hardcore fasting. Even light fasting will do. This is where the Inchaway 1867 light fasting comes in. Okay? Because you understand right now, you must understand this, that we are eating ourselves to all sorts of health problems. And one of the reasons is the frequency, the very high frequency of feeding ourselves. Okay? If you never stop eating, no matter how little, blood sugar continue to rise in your body, which is detected by your system, endocrine system. Insulin is being pumped up throughout the day. So very quickly you become insulin resistant, right? You become pre-diabetic, you become diabetic. Once you become a full-blown diabetic, unfortunately, a rest of the organ will also fail. Or the other organ failures will follow. Next will be a kidney. Your liver will start having problem. Then you will start to get cancer and all that. So before that happens, right? Even type 2 diabetes is reversible by just changing your diet, by starting with light fasting. Okay, so this suddenly became very popular back even this last decade, 2012, only about 9 years ago and so forth. BBC produced a documentary, so they actually track about 600 people who practice light fasting. So they filmed the entire documentary, name it Eat, Fast and Live Longer. And then it came out, so it became so popular, it became so effective, right? That, of course, the entire Hollywood were mad about it. So if you're a who's who, you're a celebrity, you'll probably be leading the pack, okay? Back then, it's still the IG, the Instagram, and what's still not popular. So you have their own page, their own website, their own management companies that produce, their ads. People will follow after them. They take pictures every day. Today, of course, you have a lot more people on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook that tracking their daily life while they are doing fasting, light fasting at all time. So it becomes fashionable. But what we're saying now, after the 2016 Nobel Award presentation, people know that, hey, this is based on science. It is not just a fad. It's not just fashionable. This will not go away. So it's best that we hear and we follow the science, okay? It's for our own health, it's for our own good, okay? So what we want to do over this 18672, this will take a whole combination of, a total of up to 12 days. We have got a pre-fasting period, the actual fasting period, 4 days, and then 5. We want you to be able to reduce your calories, toxin, fat, discomfort, clogging of your arteries and all that. And over this time, right, you actually, of course, enhance your nutrition, increase your metabolism, repair your body, because autophagy kicks in. Autophagy can kick in right now, that finally that at least you are resting or reducing your feeding frequency. Your immunity system will go, of course, overall body vitality. So how does this Inchaway 18672, right, light fasting works? It's basically the numbers there, they are just not special codes. They're simply the number of hours. Okay, we just simply remind you that it's 18 hours of light fasting a day. Okay, you have to fast from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at least daily, over that 4-day period. 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. No eating, right? 8 p.m. to at least to 2 a.m. And obviously after 8 p.m. chances are you'll be sleeping. So you can probably keep this not even just a 6 hours but a 12 hour. All right, your dinner is 8 p.m. You can probably just take your breakfast the next morning, start with the 8 a.m. again. Then you'll be 12 hours. Imagine That 12 hours, you allocate that time, dedicate that time to autophagy. Let it kick in. Let the engine start. Let the recycling factory go to work. Okay? Do its production, do its detox, and so on and so forth. Then 6 is eat every 6 hours only. Yeah? So your first meal in the morning, it's 8 a.m. Your so-called lunch meal is at 2 p.m. and your dinner meal, final meal, is at 8 p.m. So during that period, obviously, no such thing as supper. Okay, you have to start cutting all that. And it's not hardcore, right? It's only this 4 days. And ultimately, we're going to introduce that this fasting is only within that 72 hours. So 18 hours of light fasting. You only feed every 6 hours. And the whole process, at least one cycle. Okay, you can continue beyond that once you get used to it. But for now, you kicked off and we actually package it for you. You can do it just in 4 days. All right? So what you do is that before that, we actually introduce that there's a 4 days, we call it the food reduction period. Okay, it's pre-fasting, just prep up. So what you do is just reduce your intake. Our Chinese friends, okay, your Malay friends takes biryani, our Chinese friends takes steamed rice. If you've been regularly taking 2 bowls of rice, okay, you cut it down to 1 bowl to half a bowl, right? Whatever you're taking, those spicy stuff and all can cut. Oily stuff, fried stuff, baked stuff, just cut down these 4 days. Let's reduce slowly to prep up yourself for that actual start. So we give you actually 4 days to prepare. On the 5th day, that's actually the first day of the true fasting. And this is simply just open up the box, okay, that you purchased. A guy has a blue box, our ladies have the other box. So you just only have your first, okay, breakfast combo at 8 a.m. on that first day, which is actually the 5th day. Yeah? By now, your body would have already been preconditioned to at least stand not eating too much, right? So you'll start on first day, 8 a.m. Now, having said that, we said 8 a.m., but then I know, and there are many of our friends here, especially in my industry, I'm from the entertainment music production industry. A lot of friends, they are night birds. Their day don't ends at 10 p.m. or midnight and they sleep. No, right? They are wide awake until 4 a.m. before they go to sleep. So for people like that, you just never mind, you just rotate the clock around. If your waking hours is actually at 12 noon, okay, or at 11 a.m., then you actually clocked it at 12 noon as your breakfast, and then you do your 6 hours. Okay, you can do it accordingly. The rest of us on a more nominal, more typical schedule cycle, right? We start 8 a.m. Okay, so 8 a.m. you simply only have 2 packets of oil, Incha Whey, the Sachin oil, right, which is omega 369, a packet of Balance, omega 3679. Then you have 1 packet of Cell Pro, which will actually keep you pretty full. Those of you, after our guests will share with you, right, your Incha gut, your Incha well. Okay, regardless of whether girls or guys, ladies or men, you notice that you'll be taking that blue Incha well, the so-called man Incha well. It's all right because this is simply just to enhance your metabolism. When it comes to 2 p.m., the lunch hour, okay, session, now we cut it down just to 1 Incha well. Now this is where you actually return to your so-called recommended package. Guys only take the blue pack, and ladies you take the red pack Incha well because of the hormonal, okay, balance, replacement, enhancement nutrients there. So again, Cell Pro, Balance, and just Incha Gut. Okay, you see, you notice that what we are providing you is that we're not forcing you to just stop eating totally. Whatever is provided in our superfoods, this packet are chosen very, very carefully. Okay, just a packet of Cell Pro enough. You actually have got enough nutrients to feed. Make sure that your cells are not starved, and yet because the GI, the glycemic index level is so low, it doesn't trigger a lot of insulin being ejected from the body. Okay, the sugar rush will not come, but then your body is still being minimally fed. Okay, so that's why I call it light fasting. This is really like the first step introduction into fasting. Opens the door for you. It's almost like fasting with a bicycle. You learn to ride a bicycle with the 2 training wheels there. Okay, it keep you balanced. You won't drop off your bike. Okay, we got you. Then you just stay for the afternoon. You probably will feel hungry. Now, we've been saying we don't encourage this, but we say that some people will come. I'll faint. I cannot work. I feel so hungry. The afternoon is gone case for me. If you really feel hungry, that's actually impeding you from going about a normal lifestyle, right? We would actually allow or recommend that, well, if you have to eat more, only cheat during this afternoon session. Okay? In other words, that although we do not recommend, if you can, because we already give you 4 days, right? We introduce a 4 days pre-fasting period. That means you food feeding reduction period. By this 5th day, which is the first day of the light fasting period, right, of 4 days, you should get accustomed to it. But unfortunately, if you're not accustomed to it yet, then cheat during this lunch period. Okay? Take a bit more, take some little wheat soup or make some more, whatever, right? We have got a lot of recommendation in our group that can see what are the menus that we guide, introduce, that you can actually take. Okay, this is only this afternoon period, cheat. Okay, once it comes to the night, your last feeding period at 8 p.m. or whatever your cycle schedule may be, just that packet of Sachin oil, the Incha oil, 1 packet of Cell Pro and Incha Gut. Okay, keep your digestive system well in tune. Okay, Cell Pro is there enough, okay, to provide the necessary nutrients, and just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Now, scientists has already confirmed this and studied this, nutritionists, for many, many years. Well, it confirmed that if you actually feel hunger, that hunger pain will come, and if you do not do anything about it, it will go away, right? It will go. Once the hunger pains actually disappear, it's fine. Then it's until you get already past that goalpost, you just go on to the next milestone already. Okay? It's so wonderful. Your body is actually able to, it's used to telling you that I'm hungry at 6 p.m., I'm hungry at 8 a.m., I'm hungry at 1 p.m. Okay? Just because your body clock, your body system is so used to this schedule. But if you ignore that signal, it will ignore a signal, quickly within that 1 hour or so, it will go away. And it will not come back until the next period cycle comes. Okay? That's how wonderful our body is. Okay, so after that 4 days, if you can do this 4 days, congratulations, pat yourself on the back, right? You've already achieved many. Then the next 4 days is finally refeeding. Slowly increases, exactly the reverse cycle of the food reduction, a pre-fasting period. So after fasting for so-called 4 days with so much reduction in food amount, volume, you cannot simply just go back. After tonight at 12 midnight, I can just go to MBS, Marina Bay Sands, a 24 hours restaurant and order my big feast. You throw out everything. There's no way. After fasting for 4 days, you're able to take in a lot of food. So you have to just simply ramp it up, increase a very slow ramp. And guess what? If you're able to now cut down after getting used to this feeling of that 4 days, right? Who knows? You may actually be able to reduce your food intake from then on. Then you find that, now I can totally cut down my biryani or my steamed rice to just 1 bowl or less, okay? Or even for certain meals of the day, I do not take any rice. Or morning, I try to avoid my bread, okay? My bun, my donut, or my roti prata, or whatever. Just cut that away if you can get used to it. But for people who say, no, can't. I have to go back. I have to join my friends. We have got daily brunch meeting, lunch meeting, dinner meeting. Okay, so go back, but take again 4 days to just bring it back up to that level. Okay, just don't go and feed yourself too fast. Okay, so how do you do light fasting? Again, just follow that 18672 period. Okay, just follow that 18672 period, and that's it. And these are people, there are certain people that that recommend that you actually take it. Okay, these are the people that has got serious illness, or who are cancer patients, who may have got, preparing for surgery, and so on and so forth. So these are people that you should not be taking. Okay, and there are a lot of people, especially even among our families, families that's above 70 years old. If you're above 70, it's completely okay to be doing light fasting, but first consult your physician, okay? Consult your physician. Right? So key takeaway from this session, last but not least, now you finally understand what's the benefits of light fasting. Light fasting is that you can get yourself reduced on your food intake, okay? You want to stop feeding yourself, okay? Stop feeding yourself for certain periods of the day. Cut down on the frequency of intake. In Chinese, especially, our Chinese friends will understand. Some nutritionists at one say this. My friend always recommend 少量多餐, okay, because it's good for my digestion. I take smaller amounts but more, okay, more meals. Now that for healthy people, some of you will have got already a medical problem that prevents your gut from digesting, okay? Those are people that's exception. For the rest of us who are still healthy, that is the worst suggestion in the world. Never take small meals, but many meals. You don't do that. That is actually a lot worse than, gorging yourself. Okay, but of course the other benchmark is this. You want to feel that you only eat up to about 70% full. This is old grandmother's recommendation, right? Because why? This satiety feeling, the whole effect. What's satiety? Satiety is the ability to feel whether you're full or you're hungry. Okay, so if your satiety senses is very sensitive, you should be able to know that by the time you feel that you're 70% full, you're probably already 100% because there's still a delay for the signal to be reaching your brain. Okay, if your tummy is already nearing 100% full, your brain which simply tells you you're only 70% full, then you should stop at that time. That's it. Stop at that point. Do not go beyond that. Okay, and then say, I finished this 2 full meals. I can take an upsize lunch. I can still take 2 portions of dessert after that. Okay, know for yourself. But now that after tonight, you understand why are we fasting, why should we cut down on the frequency of food, and why cut down certain types of food to help reverse some of our medical condition. Your body is a miraculous medical worker. It knows how to repair itself if only you give it the chance, right? The thing is that when eating throughout the day, you get insulin resistant. There's no stopping, there's no repair. The factory cannot turn on. It cannot work long enough hours to repair your body. We're dead meat, right? We're stuck in this medical condition, and you have to be reliant on therapeutics for the rest of life, medicine. Okay, medication for the rest of life. You simply can't do that. So what you want to do is that you simply, now that you understand, then you go. So what we are doing at the same time, whether you're light fasting or you're cutting down on frequency, right, is to switch between different fuel loss sources. Okay? You notice that for high intensity, of course, you're going for a marathon run, right? You're preparing for Ironman contest. You want to do cycle, and go to France. You want to do in the mountain biking scene. Then obviously, because you're burning up so much energy, you need to do a carbo load. But for the rest of us, no. We want to move ourselves to the left column. If we can switch, okay, some of our fuel sources to be mostly fatty acids. These are what some people would switch to. They call keto diet. So you go on ketones, ketonic diet. So we don't have to, while we are healthy, we don't have to be so drastic. Okay, so we do a balance, the middle one, a balance between fatty acids and glucose, so that you don't end up with that, vast waistline that's storing all the fats that you never get to use to burn up. The whole point of body is that your body will store it to prepare for your hunger pangs, okay? But guess what? Before you actually feel totally hunger, you're feeding yourself some more. So glucose get overloaded, all being converted to be fats to be stored in reserve. But you never withdraw from your reserve bank. Never.